They discovered the shocking origins of Satan in the Bible's hidden texts. Few knew what truly happened that night in the depths of time, where shadows danced under flickering torches and whispers of betrayal hung thick in the air. It was a night wrapped in an ancient shroud, where secrets bled into the fabric of history, twisted like the gnarled roots of a tree that in the dim light of early Jerusalem, where the scent of spices mingled with the dust of worn stone streets, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was not a man of faith, but one cloaked in ambition, a deceitful heart harboring twisted wants. This was the very moment of creation for the being who would become known as the Tempter. What was once an angel of light now teetered on the brink of darkness. As the winds howled, a voice echoed through the passageways of the temple, urging the inhabitants of earth to question their beliefs. Was it right to seek knowledge? Or was ignorance the path to salvation? The veil of the divine stirred, revealing dilemmas that shook the foundation of all understanding. Could they bear the weight of knowledge? Or would they crumble under its burden? Yet, whispers in the dark introduced contradictions that rattled the very core of their faith. People gathered, eyes wide with fear and excitement, as the words of an unseen oracle twisted through their minds. Was Satan truly the enemy, or was he simply the harbinger of a deeper truth? This figure, once radiant, now became a reflection of humanity's darkest desires. It was no longer a tale of good versus evil, but a haunting riddle of identity. Every heart raced, each person gripped by the unexplainable threads connecting them to this story. The air crackled with tension, electric and foreboding. The question loomed larger than life itself: were they ready to unveil these hidden texts, the shocking revelations of a fallen angel? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the shadows deepened in Jerusalem, the air thick with uncertainty, a new figure emerged among the questioning crowd. Her name was Miriam, a woman of quiet strength, whose heart beat in rhythm with the mystical whispers around her. Unlike many, she sought not merely to unravel the threads of the past, but to understand the heart of the conflict raging within every soul. With each step, her resolve grew. She took a bold stance among the anxious yet curious onlookers. "Listen," she called, her voice resonating with an earnest urgency. "The truth is vast, and the darkness we fear holds deeper meanings. Perhaps it is not for us to judge who walks in light or shadow, but for us to seek the wisdom that lies in both." The crowd paused, torn between their ingrained beliefs and the flicker of insight emanating from Miriam. Could the Tempter, the supposed embodiment of deception, be revealing a greater purpose? In the stillness, questions hung heavily in the air like dew on a crisp morning. As they grappled with their unease, a sudden gust swept through the temple square, rustling the scrolls of ancient scriptures laid out before them. The parchments, inscribed with stories of creation, law, and prophecy, crinkled and whispered secrets of ages past. It beckoned the people to dive deeper, to understand the duality of existence in a world where opposing forces intertwined. Miriam stepped forward and pointed to one particular scroll that had unfurled itself with an otherworldly grace. "Let us not forget that even in the darkest night, there are stars that guide us. Perhaps what we view as temptation is but a reflection of our own desires to seek knowledge, to become more than what we've been prescribed." A murmur cascaded through the crowd as they contemplated her words. Some furrowed their brows, wrestling with the notion that their long-held beliefs were not inherently righteous. They pondered, was the pursuit of wisdom worth the risk of succumbing to darkness? Yet, a flicker of recognition danced in their eyes. Perhaps they were deeper than mere labels of good and evil, fighting merely for understanding in a labyrinth filled with riddles. Just then, a subtle voice, barely above a whisper, broke through their collective meditation. It emanated from the shadows of the temple, where the air shimmered slightly, as if responding to some unseen force. "You question and yet remain bound by fear," it spoke, the tone accentuating a profound humility. "Knowledge, by itself, is neither light nor darkness. It is what you allow it to shape within you that molds your fate. As the gathered souls fell silent, absorbing the sacred energy of the moment, Miriam felt a stirring within her spirit. The shadowed voice had cast a light upon the path yet untrodden, one that engaged not just the mind but the heart in the complexities of both. Could embracing the fullness of existence, with its light and shadow, lead them to greater enlightenment? A sense of shared revelation washed over the crowd, but still an undercurrent of tension persisted. Questions fluttered like restless birds in their minds. Could they hold the risks and rewards of knowledge within their grasp? Would they step forward to unveil the legacy of the fallen angel, or retreat into the comforting embrace of their former beliefs? And so the question lingered, echoing within each heart present. What is the true cost of wisdom, and are we willing to bear that weight when faced with echoes of our own shadows? As dawn approached, casting soft hues of light through the temple's corridors, the atmosphere remained thick with anticipation. Miriam sensed the pivotal moment at hand, for the crowd's murmurings had transformed into an undercurrent of introspection. She stood at the center, her heart attuned to the whispered secrets of ages that seemed to linger in the folds of the ancient scrolls scattered around her. Let us remember, she began, her voice steady yet imbued with reverence, the origins of our understanding are etched not only on these scrolls but also within our own hearts. The tale of the tempter is not merely one of rebellion, it is intricately woven with themes of yearning and divine love. As she spoke, she recalled the story of creation, of how the Almighty looked upon the burgeoning universe and saw it was good, but also how challenges were born in the very act of creation itself. The crowd hung on her words, and as the light filtered through the clearings, it illuminated a forgotten scroll toward the back, one that the hands of time had wrapped in the dust of neglect. It bore a name seldom pronounced, the Book of Wisdom. Miriam's pulse quickened, igniting her curiosity, urging her forward to release the scroll of its bindings. Here lies a testament, she proclaimed, gently unfurling the delicate parchment, to our shared origins, to the intricate dance of light and shadow. This text speaks of the one who fell, but also of why he chose to seek greater knowledge. Was it not a search rooted in a desire for understanding and connection to the divine? As she began to read aloud, the crowd leaned in, each listener captivated by phrases that danced between wisdom and enigma. It spoke of an angel adorned with brilliance, whose very essence longed to grasp the fullness of the Creator's experience. Yet, woven within his aspirations was humanity's plight, the fragile tether linking their fate to his own. But what if, Miriam posited, her voice descending to a soft brush of sound, the tempter's choice embodies more than mere rebellion? What if it reflects our struggle to comprehend the balance of good and evil? Can we truly fathom what it means to bear the burden of enlightenment, knowing that the path diverges with every choice? Whispers rippled through the crowd, a tapestry of thoughts and caution igniting debates within their souls. While some yearned to see this fallen figure judged solely as adversary, others began to ponder if perhaps he served a purpose in their unfolding narrative. In the midst of this contemplation, the lingering voice returned, echoing with a gentle power that enveloped the space. The pursuit of wisdom requires bravery, for in its light, shadows are revealed, not eradicated. You must decide what legacy you wish to establish. Will it be one of fear that clings to simplicity, or can you brave the plunge into the complexity of understanding? Miriam closed her eyes, listening to the vibrations of thought that reverberated around her. The crowd's faces revealed a myriad of emotions, fear and hope, clarity and bewilderment. It was an age-old battle, one that surged in every human heart, and yet, at this moment, the duality began to melt into a singular path waiting to be walked. As the morning light embraced the temple, Miriam opened her eyes, potentially unveiling a truth that the crowd could embrace or reject. Perhaps our greatest challenge lies not in resisting the shadows but in beckoning them forth to reveal what lies hidden in the depths of our souls. We were not meant to walk in perfect light alone, we were meant to understand and grow in the presence of our own shadows. With that, the air filled with a palpable anticipation, the lingering question very much alive among them: can embracing the shadows lead to a deeper connection with the divine mystery, or does it risk binding their hearts to the temptations of darkness? As the sun rose higher, illuminating the temple's grand pillars, Miriam could feel an unshakable energy thrumming within her. The scroll's wisdom danced in her mind, urging her to venture deeper into the mysteries it presented. What truly lies behind the curtain of darkness, she pondered, realizing that answers often emerged from within the questions themselves. The crowd was restless, their murmurs whispering of uncertainty as the tendrils of thought coiled around their hearts like ivy seeking light. Some were emboldened, intrigued by the notion that rebellion could sprout from a profound yearning for understanding. Others clung to the familiar, fearing that uncovering hidden truths might unravel the very fabric of their existence. Miriam's gaze turned back to the ancient scroll, her fingers brushing over its fragile surface, tracing the characters that seemed to pulse with untold stories. She lifted her voice again, steady and clear. This text invites us not to shun our fears but to understand them. In these writings, the tempter is not simply the adversary, but rather a reflection of our own unacknowledged aspirations. Could it be that we, too, harbor desires to tread paths that lie beyond our comprehension? To Miriam's surprise, a man rose from the crowd, his brow furrowed with skepticism. And what of the chaos wrought by these desires? Are we to embrace the tempter fully, or to risk entangling ourselves in his web of deceit? His words cast a shadow of doubt, reminding them of the stories of suffering and despair birthed from pursuits misaligned. Yet, instead of withering under the weight of opposition, Miriam felt a surge of confidence. Yes, there is danger in unchecked desire, she replied, her eyes gleaming with a fervent light. But wisdom resides in understanding our full nature, both the light and the dark. To ignore one's desires is to deny a part of ourselves. We must venture into the unknown, guided by desire tempered with discernment. As murmurs of agreement and dissent coiled through the assembly, the air grew thick with tension, the urgent din of inner conflict. Miriam sensed a collective heartbeat, an invitation to explore the intersection between the sacred and the profane. The crowd's emotions began to unfurl, revealing layers of longing and resistance intertwined in a sort of spiritual dance. Suddenly, from the back of the gathering, a woman stepped forward, her voice laced with sorrow yet radiant with resolve. "I have known loss," she uttered softly, her eyes glistening. "I have witnessed shadows consume those I love. How do I reconcile those experiences with this understanding of our shared yearning?" A palpable stillness fell over the crowd, her words striking a chord deep within each listener. Miriam felt the weight of this woman's pain, realizing it encapsulated many hearts there. Do we not all carry within us the echoes of our choices and the repercussions of those choices unmade? She began, unfurling her thoughts. Yet, in the face of loss, we are offered an opportunity, an invitation to ask questions that lead us toward deeper connection, to the divine, even when we feel abandoned. Silence enveloped the congregation as they considered this perspective. Was it possible that pain, fear, and even confusion could serve as pathways to greater wisdom? Miriam's heart swelled with compassion, acknowledging that within struggle lay an opportunity for growth. With renewed determination, she continued, "Let us not rush to separate the tempter from our narrative. Instead, allow us to explore how he reflects elements of our own journey, our trials, and our desires. In this shared exploration, what greater truths about ourselves and our Creator can we unveil?" As the questions hung in the air, poised and waiting, an electric sense of unity surged through the crowd. They were on the precipice of an awakening, but uncertainty still loomed. Would they dare to step forward and grapple with these buried shadows? Could the search for answers deepen their connection to the divine mystery, or would it lead them into darkness? In that moment, Miriam's own heart echoed the ancient query, what if, in seeking to unravel the nature of the tempter, they unwittingly unearthed the very essence of their own humanity? Miriam stood before the crowd, and the weight of their collective doubt pressed on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. She could feel the anticipation in the air, a tangible pulse of life surging through them, ready to explore the depths of the unknown that the scroll promised. Her voice steadied as she prepared to take them deeper into the labyrinth of their hearts and minds. "Let us consider," she began, "the origins of duality within our very existence. From the beginning of creation, we have been presented with choice and invitation to navigate between light and shadow. The ancients spoke of a great tapestry woven together, each thread important, each color necessary. To understand the tempter, we must reflect upon the stories handed down to us, stories that harbor profound implications about our own desires, fears, and destinies." A low murmur rippled through the crowd, intrigued by her words as they recalled the tales of creation, of the garden filled with perfection, and of the moment choice fractured that tranquility. But perhaps it is not merely a tale of good and evil, Miriam pressed, her voice unwavering. What if our struggle against temptation is a reflection of a divine challenge, a sacred moment that demands our growth? Are we not invited to awaken, to wrestle with our own nature and the forces that guide us? The tension began to shift, curiosity sparked in the eyes of her listeners. Miriam felt their barriers faltering. Imagine a world where the tempter is not a mere adversary but a teacher, an element of our existence that beckons us toward evolution. Just as the seeds of light dwell in darkness before they bloom, could our own inner turmoil foster new beginnings, new understandings? From the edge of the group, a soft voice interjected, but how do we discern between genuine guidance and deceit? What if, in our quest for understanding, we succumb to the very chaos we fear? Miriam regarded the speaker, recognizing the validity of this concern. Discernment indeed is key, she acknowledged, and it is cultivated through honest reflection and the community we share. When we uncover our desires and confront them with integrity, we create a space where wisdom thrives. We should seek counsel not only in one another but also in the sacred texts that speak of trials and tribulations. In the depths of our uncertainty, there lies a path illuminated by faith. As dusk began to paint the sky with hues of orange and purple, the crowd shifted restlessly, caught between curiosity and apprehension. Miriam sensed a pivotal moment within their discourse, a chance to delve into the hidden nature of the tempter. Shall we explore the deeper origins of this figure Satan, the adversary as tethered to the themes of our own struggles with desire? How did he come to embody this role in the grand narrative? And in searching the scriptures, might we find the shadows that reflect our own experiences? The flickering lanterns cast dancing shadows against the backdrop of the ancient walls, echoing the complexities of their conversation. There was a stirring in the air, each individual was caught in a fold of revelation. Miriam could see the questions igniting the flames of contemplation, leading them toward a poignant understanding the intertwining of light and darkness in their lives. A soft thunder of agreement punctuated the dim light, suggesting a willingness to embark on this journey of exploration. Deep down, Miriam knew they were on the verge of something profound, and yet, she felt an unsettling tremor within her spirit. What revelations might we unearth if we were brave enough to interrogate the very essence of our fears, she pondered, gazing out at the crowd, who likewise wrestled with their own uncertainties. What truths about the tempter could unveil not only our own follies but also the essence of divine grace itself? As this question lingered in the air like the scent of blooming flowers, the mystery remained. Would they step forward into this deep inquiry, allowing their collective search for enlightenment to lead them closer to understanding the duality of their existence, or would they retreat into the shadows, afraid to confront that which might unravel their very beings? As twilight surrendered to the quiet stillness of night, Miriam sensed the atmosphere changing. A charged electric hum enveloped the gathering. The stars began to emerge, distant and watchful, as if they too held their breath in anticipation of the revelations at hand. The murmurs faded, and an anchor of silence settled among the crowd, each heart attuned to the mystery Miriam sought to unfold. To uncover the origins of Satan, she continued thoughtfully, we must journey back to the ancient writings, beyond the surface of their words, where veils of meaning linger in shadows. In the book of Job, we meet an entity known as the Satan, who walks into the divine council with neither malice nor malignancy. Rather, he appears as an accuser, a challenger to the righteousness of humanity. Smiles of recognition flickered among the listeners, each recalling passages familiar yet often overlooked. But who is this figure, really? Miriam pressed on, her voice soft yet inviting. Might the presence of the accuser reveal something primal about our own journey, our need for testing, for trials that refine us? Could this be less about condemnation and more about illumination? The crowd shifted, tension mixing with intrigue, as they considered the implications of her words. Was it possible that what they had deemed an enemy was in fact an integral component of their journey toward growth? Miriam raised her hands, lifting the gaze of her audience to the ever-expanding sky. What if there exists a sacred balance in our world, where darkness serves to highlight the light? In our scriptures, we find a natural rhythm of creation, conflict, and resolution, a life cycle in which every element plays its necessary role. The tempter imbued with the potential for duality could indeed push us to seek greater understanding. From the dim edges of the gathering, a woman stepped forward, her voice trembling with fervor. Yet, what of the suffering that temptation births? How can we reconcile those moments of desperate anguish with the idea that our trials may hold purpose? Miriam regarded her with compassion, understanding the anguish that strains so many souls. It is indeed a perplexing dance of existence, where much pain can occur. Yet, within that very pain, some of the greatest wisdom and growth often spring forth. Perhaps, in confronting our fears and wresting meaning from our suffering, we discover the sacred narrative we are each a part of. Our struggles become lessons, a journey inward that beckons us to rise above our circumstances. The night wrapped around them like a cloak, yet within each pair of eyes, a spark of courage began to glow brighter. As we search deeper into our scriptures, she continued, we may unveil the figure of lilied and ethereal counterpart to Adam, shunned yet fierce, embodying the untempered freedom of choice. In many stories, she stands parallel to the narratives that craft our understanding of womanhood, power, and the tempter himself. What whispers of rebellion might she bring to our insight of temptation? A breeze spiraled through the assembly, igniting an undercurrent of thought. Questions abounded, each soul wrestling with their own interpretations of story, of choice, of the shadows they carried. It was not just an exploration of texts but an invitation to turn inward, to reflect on their own dualities amidst the reflections of myth. What happens, one man challenged, when our choices lead us to harm ourselves and others? Are we then the authors of our own defeat, or the casualties of an adversary's deceit? Miriam paused, the weight of his question sinking deeply within her. Ah, therein lies the dance of free will, the grappling with the purpose of our choices amidst the chaos they can spawn. If we view the tempter as a teacher, then perhaps those very moments of downfall can lead us back to the essence of grace, revealing the divine within struggle and affliction. The crowd lingered on her words, cogs turning amidst the gears of understanding as they pondered this dual role of the accuser. Could chaos truly herald the awakening of one's soul to its fullest potential? Miriam felt the energy shifting, a growing resolve blooming among them. But as she stared into the flickering glow of the lanterns and, beyond that, the infinite stretch of the cosmos, she understood that their journey was far from complete. What manner of truths might emerge, she pondered aloud, if we continue to interrogate these layers of ourselves, where light and dark intertwine? And how might our very struggles transform into keys that unlock not only our understanding of grace but also of our interconnectedness with the tempter, an essential part of life's profound landscape? As the night deepened, the questions hung in the air like stars, bright yet elusive, inviting a pursuit of answers yet to be uncovered. Would they dare to continue this inquiry, embracing the uncertainty at its core, or would the shadows of hesitation draw them away from the sacred discoveries that awaited? As the night settled into an even deeper darkness, Miriam felt the weight of anticipation in the air. Each person before her appeared to be wrestling with not only the teachings of the ancient texts but also with the shadows of their own stories. The murmurs of contemplation were profound, and she sensed that they stood at the precipice of greater understanding, a threshold between what they had always believed and what they were about to explore. There is a certain power in seeking understanding, in peeling back the layers of tradition. She began again, her voice steady yet filled with warmth. Just as Adam wrestled with the ideals of his own creation, so too must we wrestle with the narratives we inherit. What if the stories of our ancients are not simply rehearsals of past events, but invitations to engage with the very fabric of our existence? The young man at the edge of the circle raised his hand, his eyes glinting with curiosity. But, Miriam, what of the origins of suffering? Surely there must be a beginning point from which all this chaos flows. Is the tempter, as you say, not a conduit for that chaos? Miriam regarded him thoughtfully. It is a fair question. In the Genesis narrative, we often view the serpent with a lens of condemnation, perceiving it as the root of humanity's fall. Yet it could also be viewed as a catalyst for awakening and incitement toward consciousness. Through the eyes of this figure, we can observe the inception of our choices, where the lines between good and evil blur, forcing us to confront our desires. She watched as heads nodded slowly, thoughtful frowns replacing prior uncertainty. Consider this: the serpent embodies wisdom as much as it embodies temptation. In the very act of disobedience, a myriad of possibilities unfold a spectrum of choices, testing the limits of divine instruction. From that pain, new life is born, a striving toward understanding, a discovery of self. A murmur reverberated through the crowd, planting seeds of refinement in their minds. But if suffering leads us to such growth, should we not question why it is ignored in our teachings? Do we view pain as a necessary evil, or have we yet to illuminate its purpose in our spiritual journey? A woman's voice echoed, bold and questioning. Miriam felt the urgency in her words and nodded wisely. You bring forth a vital inquiry. Too often, we mask suffering as taboo, fearing the vulnerability that it unveils. But Scripture repeatedly illustrates the divine hand in both pain and purpose. They are entwined, profoundly connected in the divine narrative. Job himself is a vivid testament to this, facing unimaginable trials yet emerging with a deeper connection to the divine essence. And what of Lilith? Another voice chimed in, breaking through the growing cloud of reflection. If she stands as a symbol of rebellion, does she not also carry the weight of the darkness within our choices? Yes, Miriam replied, a smile dancing upon her lips. She holds space for the untamed aspects of our spirit, the freedom to choose, to love, to rebel against constraints that bind us. In stories where her name is whispered, we see that rebellion becomes a vehicle for liberation. Yet, liberation too, holds the potential for chaos. How do we determine right from wrong within that context? The stars above pulsed, seemingly reflecting the tensions brewing in their midst. A man with furrowed brows spoke out, and if our choices carry consequences that echo through our lives and the lives of others, must we rest at the feet of fate, or is there agency still left in us? What if, Miriam ventured, her eyes glinting with the intensity of the conversation, our journey lies in recognizing how we navigate those consequences. We are agents of choice at every moment, forging pathways both illuminated and shadowed. Our struggles with temptation, our grappling with pain, and our alliances with the tempter may serve as mirrors revealing our inner landscapes. A call to reflection within the sacred interbeing, thoughts flared into conversations, a communion of voices, hearts thumping with new possibilities. As the chaos of voices gradually settled into a contemplative hush, Miriam's heart raced with the sacred energy unfurling among them. What might it reveal about ourselves, about our shared humanity, if we do not merely fear our struggles, but embrace them as a vital part of our growth? The echoing silence that followed seemed to vibrate with questions yet to be resolved, a yearning for illumination amidst uncertainty. Each soul remained engaged in the act of understanding, poised on the brink of discovery, wondering what deeper revelations awaited them if they dared to continue this courageous inquiry. Where, amid the intertwining fates of light and darkness, would their own choices lead them? As the stillness enveloped them, Miriam sensed a stirring in the atmosphere, a current of energy igniting curiosity and a hint of trepidation among her companions. It was as if the very fabric of the evening beckoned them to unfold further the hidden narratives woven into their shared history. She took a breath, allowing the silence to stretch just a moment longer before addressing the group once more. Beloved friends, she began gently, our discussions of pain and rebellion have opened a door to ancient questions some may desire to keep concealed. What if I told you that within the depths of the sacred scrolls lies a wisdom that has eluded many? What if the tempter was not simply an enemy, but a being who embodies the duality of creation? A figure who carries both challenge and revelation. The air seemed to thicken, the flicker of the fire casting long, dancing shadows as those gathered leaned closer, captivated. There are tales buried within the margins, Miriam continued, stories of a heavenly discontent, a longing for understanding that transcends mere obedience. Some say this being we label Satan was once aligned with the Divinia, radiant angel whose quest for wisdom led him to question the very structures of heaven. In his quest for enlightenment, did he stir unrest, or did he simply reveal the limits of complacency? A man with questioning eyes interjected, but is questioning not an invitation to disorder? To challenge the divine plan, or, she countered gently, to deepen our own understanding of it? We have often been taught to fear those who defy authority, but perhaps in that very defiance lies the potential for higher truths. Does not Scripture itself declare, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But how do we reconcile this truth with our need for guidance? A woman urged from the outskirts of the gathering, her voice laced with uncertainty. Miriam regarded her kindly. Indeed, it is a delicate balance. The scriptures offer us love and law, wisdom and warning. But like the serpent, they urge us to reflect deeply on our belief structures and our interpretations. Liberation from fear does not dismiss the seeking of the sacred. It invites us to engage with it, to challenge it, and to live it fully. As the fire crackled, the night air whispered secrets to each listener's heart. Miriam felt the urgency of their exploration gripping her, and her next words unfolded with an earnest vulnerability. We begin to enter the depths of knowledge when we stare into the unknown, when we embrace both light and shadow. What if our greatest spiritual journey lies in discovering the many faces of the divine? Even those that linger in the darkness. The dialogue swelled again, reminiscent of rivers converging, some flowing confidently, others hesitantly, as they considered the potential implications. And what happens to our sense of justice? A voice called out, laden with concern. If the figure we see as adversarial holds wisdom, how do we discern right from wrong? Miriam nodded at their collective earnestness. We reflect on our experiences, our fears, those moments when we felt cast into shadow. Perhaps by daring to look into the abyss, to question our heritage, we unveil the nuances of compassion and morality. Our understanding of good and evil is not merely defined by our adherence to rules but by the engagement of our hearts and minds with the stories alive in us. The shadows continued to dance, and in the quiet that followed, every heart remained poised at the intersections of faith and inquiry. In that moment, the line separating sin and righteousness blurred, leaving behind the essence of what it meant to be human, a complex existence woven with threads of both light and dark. Miriam leaned forward, her voice a soft whisper. So, I ask you now, my cherished circle, what might we uncover about the divine narrative if we venture into the stories we fear? If we embrace the discomfort of questioning not just the tempter's role, but our own? Where might that lead us on our path toward true enlightenment? As the stars twinkled overhead, each participant held their breath, suspended in the realization that within this inquiry lay not just answers but an invitation into profound complexity and illumination of their own purpose and the sacred tapestry of existence. What revelations lingered just beyond their reach, waiting for the courage to be discovered? As the night deepened, an unanticipated silence fell over the gathering. Each soul felt the weight of unspoken thoughts and unresolved questions, the flickering flames intertwining with the mysteries that permeated the fabric of their existence. Miriam sensed that she stood not just before companions but rather before seekers of deeper truth, and as the shadows danced, her heart quickened with a yearning to unravel more. Miriam, came a voice from the circle, a sturdy figure now outlined against the firelight. Are we truly ready to delve deeper? Once we pry open the door to understanding what was once hidden, we may confront not only wisdom but the very foundation of our steadfast beliefs. What if these revelations unravel our faith? Her gaze met his, and in it, she saw the echoes of doubt intermingled with a flicker of hope. Indeed, my friend, she responded thoughtfully. When we invite complexity into our lives, we must also invite uncertainty. Yet it is in the embrace of this uncertainty that we can find true fortitude. Let us not forget how, within the layers of text, there exists a divine promise that searching for wisdom is a path toward deeper relationship both with the sacred and with one another. In response, a woman with a furrowed brow spoke up, but what then of the fall? Is it not the very embodiment of disobedience, a cautionary tale lest we stray? How can a being once blessed share wisdom and destruction in the same breath? Miriam placed her hands together, contemplating the questions that pressed against her heart. What if the fall was not merely a descent into chaos, but a catalyst for change? In every narrative of downfall, there is an invitation, a call to evolve, to awaken to the depths of our existence. Perhaps the fall represents our collective yearning for knowledge, the understanding that it is not solely the path of comfort that enriches but also the willingness to bear the weight of struggle. As she spoke, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying her words into the night. The group remained enveloped in reflection, with grappling faces now mingling curiosity with slow understanding. One new voice arose, young, trembling with emotion. Then what of suffering, Miriam? If our desire for knowledge drives us toward disobedience and pain, How do we reconcile suffering with divine love? Why must we endure hardship to grow? Miriam's heart swelled with compassion for the questioner. Ah, how often we ponder this. Suffering can indeed feel like a relentless shadow, yet it may also serve as our greatest teacher. Within each wound, we discover the strength of resilience, and through the fall, we attain new perspectives that in turn allow us to extend compassion toward others. The divine love does not shield us from pain, for pain is sometimes the gateway to greater understanding. The flames flickered in agreement, and a palpable sense of shared yearning enveloped them. Miriam perceived a powerful shift within their discourse, as consciousness rose like steam from a simmering pot. Would it become an awakening or a despairing entrapment? She could almost hear the questions of the universe echoing across the stars, urging them onward, and as we look upon these hidden texts, she continued, her voice resonating with urgency, let us consider the source of our narratives. If the tempter indeed represents the complexity of knowledge and unveiling the sacred within defiance, what then does our history say of us? How are we to live balanced within the divine paradoxal life that acknowledges both the light and heavy shadows of our choices? As the group mulled over the enigma, a wise elder interrupted the silence, her voice a mere whisper in the still air. Miriam, while the scriptural revelation set forth a tapestry of duality, do we not risk spiraling infinitely into the gray? Are we in danger of losing sight of the sacred yet clear paths of righteousness? The question lingered, heavy, like a stone over still water. Miriam nodded, acknowledging the truth contained therein. Yes, and therein lies the mysteria paradox we must all grapple with. Perhaps the divine invites us not to resolve but to remain in the dance of inquiry, ever seeking, ever questioning. For in understanding and embracing the questions, we might just illuminate a path forward even if that path remains undefined. As the fire blazed, casting a golden glow that enveloped their assembly, the depth of their shared contemplation became evident. Each was tasked not only with the search for answers but also with the acceptance of ambiguity woven into their sacred narratives, and so, as the stars continued to twinkle in the vast canvas of the cosmos, one question remained echoing in the hearts of Miriam and her companions. What if the unraveling of these hidden truths leads not to resolution or comfort, but to an ever-deepening quest for understanding, compelling them to confront the very nature of faith, existence, and what it truly means to be formed in the image of the divine? Amidst the depths of night, echoes of doubt and curiosity, the assembly gathered as if on the precipice of ancient mysteries unveiled. The candles flickered, casting a warm golden glow that painted the faces of those seeking clarity. Miriam stood at the heart of it all, her spirit alight with conviction, ready to weave the final threads of understanding into their lingering tapestry of inquiry. Beloved seekers, she began, her voice steady yet imbued with a gentle urgency, our journey has led us through shadows and light, through questions and revelations that shake the foundations of everything we hold dear. But now, we must confront a truth that intertwines with each of our souls, the transformative gift of embracing both the tempter within and the divine elements that exist in us all. The murmurs of anticipation drifted through the crowd as eyes widened, reflecting the flickering flames. They leaned in closer, hearts racing, as Miriam pressed on, igniting the embers of revelation. The stories we hold contain not merely warnings or moralistic tales but profound lessons on understanding the duality of existence. Just as the serpent in the garden offered a choice, a chance to question and grow, so too does the figure of Satan embody our own inner battles. He is not only a tempter but also a gatekeeper of wisdom, a mirror reflecting our desires and motivations. As she spoke, a visceral understanding began to unfurl amongst the assembly. Fear still lingered in the corners of their minds, but so too did a blossoming hope that perhaps the strength of their inquiries would lead to a deeper connection with their own divine essence. What if, Miriam ventured softly, her gaze sweeping across each face, the conflict we dread is necessary for spiritual evolution. To embrace the dark is to embrace the fullness of our being. Can we not see that our struggles, our doubts, our trials are but pathways to growth, leading us toward an authentic understanding of love and grace? A voice from the back spoke out, trembling with emotion. But if in our quest we drive ourselves into chaos, how do we discern when we have crossed a line into darkness? Where is the line between understanding and losing ourselves in our desires? Miriam nodded solemnly, empathizing with the fear woven into that question. We come full circle to the essence of our inquirito, examine not just the tempter but our intentions as we navigate life's mysteries. By embracing discernment, nurturing our hearts in gratitude, we tread the path of wisdom. It is through reflection and community that we sharpen our understanding, drawing closer to the divine that resides within each of us. The very act of contemplation allows light to illuminate those hidden corners we often fear, she continued, her voice rising with passion. Through the acceptance of our shadows, we find strength, and through our pain, the opportunity for transformation. In witnessing the tempter's role in our stories, we come to understand how much we too embody those dualities. The assembly fell into a deep and contemplative silence, each participant holding on to their breath as they took in the weight of the moment. Miriam could feel the stirring as hearts began to sink with an underlying hope, one that reflected a deeper truth. What do we ultimately seek? She inquired boldly, bringing their focus inward. In embracing the complexity of our struggles, are we not offered a gateway to greater love? To empathy? To a divine understanding that we are interconnected in this shared journey? As the dawn approached soft, warm, and luminous, the group felt a collective awakening wash over them. Miriam opened her palms, inviting the energy surrounding her to coalesce, and thus, I share an unexpected revelation. The tempter is not merely a figure to be demonized but rather a vital partner on this path toward enlightenment. In recognizing our shared shadows, we empower ourselves to transcend into light. Are we not children of the same Creator who invites us to explore, to question, to awaken? The crowd became a chorus of realizations, breathing in synchronicity as light began to pierce through the horizon. A tapestry of shared struggles and aspirations emerged, woven together by the threads of their conversation and revelations. As the first rays of dawn painted the temple's walls in hues of gold, it ignited the faces of the seekers, igniting a newfound strength within. They began to nod, some even clasping hands, understanding deeply that through their journey, they had become both students and teachers. Simultaneously, they encountered the truth wrapped in duality and potential. Through understanding both light and dark, Miriam proclaimed, her voice echoing with power and clarity, we uncover our true selves, interwoven reflections of love, wisdom, desire, loss, and longing. In that shared moment, a profound spiritual transformation settled like dew on their hearts. They had confronted their deepest fears and emerged as kinder, more compassionate beings, ready to embrace not only their paths but also the intricate stories that intertwined their lives. Miriam's eyes gleamed as she offered her final thoughts, words that would carry forth into eternity. Let us pledge together, dear friends, to wander the landscape of our souls with courage, to embrace the questions that call us deeper into truth, and to cherish the complexity of our shared existence. For in doing so, we do not merely find faith, we embody it, illuminating the world with our understanding that within us, both the tempter and the divine reside, inviting us toward the eternal dance of growth and love. As the sun ascended into the morning sky, the warmth enveloped them, and an indescribable peace settled over the earth, an invitation to step boldly into a future illuminated not just by answers, but by the reverence of their questions. And in that sacred moment, they emerged as seekers reshaped, ready to write the next chapter of their divine narrative together.